This is the Bunny Slippers Are Evil Jobseekers Call-In Show. And now, a word from our sponsors. Evil Bunny Consulting is the job search alternative to expensive outplacement. For more information, go to bunnyslippersareevil.com. Let 3dresumes.net turn your resume into a webpage with a customized domain for 12 months for only $30. Help hiring managers and recruiters find you and make your resume available 24/7 and get a free professional email address just for your job search. You can see my online resume at tyronegriffin.com, and to get your own, go to 3dresumes.net. If you are thinking or about to look for a job in today's world, you will find a new reality in the job search process. The world has changed. Job search today is much more complicated than 5 years ago. Volumes of resumes, more applicant screening systems, depersonalized applications, panel interviews, team hiring, long complicated applications, branding and social media. Yes, the world has changed. But have you? Are you still trying yesterday's approach? Why struggle and miss out on today's opportunities? Career Oyster is here to help. Great coaches, the latest resources, unique strategies, person-tailored to your job search. Find out the new reality and how you can prevent costly mistakes. To register for a free 45-minute private lesson with Howard Caddy, go to careeroyster.com. Find the facts now. You'll be glad you did. Remember their motto, the world is your oyster, be the pearl. Good morning, everybody. Today is Saturday, November 19th, 2016, and this is the Bunny Slippers Are Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show. Presented by Evil Bunny Consulting. I'm your host, Tyrone Griffin, and if it's 3 p.m. and you have on your bunny slippers, you are not looking for a job. Welcome first-time and returning listeners. In this show, we discuss strategies and tactics of job search, staying motivated, and dealing with career transition. For more tips, resources, daily motivations, and to listen to archived shows, go to the website, bunnyslippersareevil.com. You will also find links to our Facebook page, our Twitter handle, and our YouTube channel. This show will also be up on YouTube later on today if I get to it. Anyway, everybody, thank you. Sorry about missing last week. I took a much-needed rest, vacation, day off. And next week is next week's show is my annual What I'm Thankful For show. So be sure to check that out. I'll put a post on Facebook, and it'll probably be around the same time, 10 o'clock Saturday morning. But it's all about what I'm thankful for over the last year, last couple of weeks, whatever. And I do that show. Now, everybody who's been watching me a while, I try to have my little notes. Next week's show, I'm just warning you, no notes. Okay, there's no notes. And the reason there's no notes is because I feel like if I can't talk about what I'm thankful for 30 minutes, then I got a problem. So I intentionally don't write any notes. I don't try to prepare, and I just talk about what I'm thankful for. So, hey, be sure to tune in. So now let's get to the show. This week, the topic is, and I usually, people that follow me on Facebook know I can get pretty political at times. But I usually don't get political in this show for obvious reasons, because that's not the intent of this show. Hey, Nelva. But after the election, I thought about all the run-up to the election, and I thought about what is it that job seekers can learn from the election. And I came up with 4 different things that job seekers can learn. And I'll talk about those today. So let's begin. First thing that job seekers can learn from that election. Number 1, and this is obvious, don't put limits on yourself at how high you can go. Okay? Don't let anybody tell you you can't be X or you can't be Y. When you're looking for a job, and that's one of the things, when you are looking for a job, you put it in your head that, I'm only qualified for this, so I'm only going to apply for this. And you're not think about, here's the thing about job search. Job search, interviewing, all that, it's a sales job. You're selling yourself. You're selling your qualifications and who you are. And if you put a limit on it, if you, in your mind, if you start to believe that you're only this good, then you're not going to convince anybody else. Okay? I'm not saying go apply for a CEO job when you were an analyst last week. But you never know. You might be able to find a CEO job because it's about marketable skills. And I'll say this many times today. It's all about what marketable skills you have. It's not necessarily about the experiences and things like that, all that together, but it comes down to what marketable skills. Okay, if you're a CPA, if you're an accountant, if you're a numbers person, every industry needs numbers. So don't think that you can't switch industries. I've been in 3 different industries in my career. Okay, didn't plan it that way, it just happened. But I've been in 3 different industries. And the reason I was able to do that was because I was able to leverage my marketable skills from one industry to another. So don't ever think you can't do that. Okay. But again, it's marketable skills, but you have to convince yourself first. If you don't have confidence in yourself, you sit down in an interview or even just a networking meeting, you have to have confidence. Now, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. There's a very fine line. There's one thing to believe in yourself. There's another thing to just think, you know what? I am the greatest thing since sliced bread. And yeah, we met those people. I met them in job search and transition. It's the funniest thing in the world. You see somebody who's cocky and in transition. It's like, okay, if you were so great, why are you out of work? Okay, and I'm sorry to be blunt like that, but that's what you're thinking when you come across somebody who's out of work, okay, and they're arrogant. You know, they're, oh, I know I'm the greatest thing you've ever seen. Well, why did they let you go? You know, there is a fine line, and you have to learn what that fine line is between confidence and arrogance. Okay, but again, the point is, don't let somebody else don't let somebody else tell you what your limits are. You know, what's the term? Reach for the stars. If you miss, you'll be still on the moon. Yeah, that's how you have to think about life. Reach for the stars. Okay, stay in your wheelhouse to some extent. You know, don't go applying for CEO jobs. But if you think you're qualified, if you think you can sell the case that you are qualified for a CEO job, then by all means go for it. But that's what you have to do when you apply for something that's above where you've been. Make the case. You know, don't walk in and just say, well, I just applied for it, see what would happen. Be serious. Be serious about your job search. If you want to apply up the chain, apply up the chain. But you have to believe that you're there. You have to believe that you can achieve that job, that you can do that job. Make the case for yourself. Here's why I'm qualified and can do this job. Do your research, okay? But the bottom line is this. Don't let anybody put any limits on what you think you can do. Okay, so that was number 1. Number 2, here's one. Don't believe everything you hear. Sometimes in job search, you hear things, well, this company's not hiring, or that company's not hiring, and people just ignore it. I'm going to give you a little insight. From everything I've seen, most middle to large companies are always hiring. They're always needing fresh people coming in the door. Okay, they're always bringing in new bodies, but whether it be entry level, whatever. Companies need new people constantly. So what do? They bring them in. If they can't hire people, they bring people in as contractors, as consultants. There's all kinds of different ways to get into companies. Okay, maybe even out of college as an unpaid intern or a paid intern. Okay, but companies need people. So don't ever hear when you hear that so-and-so X company is not hiring right now. Well, okay, but let me go follow up anyway. That's when you start using your LinkedIn and you start reaching out to people in the company. Okay, you start reaching out to managers in the company. You start having those conversations. And, you know, as we've said before on LinkedIn, don't ever just think that use LinkedIn. It's Facebook for grown folks. Use LinkedIn. Okay, reach out to people on LinkedIn. Don't use it and say, hey, can you hire me? Because it's not going to work. Okay, I equate job search to dating all the time. You meet somebody new. You're not going to just say, hi, what's your name? Will you marry me? Yeah, it ain't going to work. And if it does work, you really need to be careful about why that person said yes. Okay. So So if in job search, you don't go on LinkedIn or anywhere. You don't walk up to a company. Hi, can you hire me? There's a commercial right now where a guy walks into a bank with a gun and he's holding a gun on everybody. And they're like, we're putting the money in the bag. Like, no, I don't want money. I want a job. Okay, I want a job. I want you, but that's how desperate it gets for people sometimes. I mean, that's real. I don't think anybody's done that, but you think about it. But anyway, like I was saying, don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe just because somebody else used to work at a company and they say our company sucks. Da da da. Well, you know what? Here's the rubber where the rubber meets the road. You need a job. If you're in transition, you're in job search. You need a job. So you need a paycheck. You need something to bring in money. So maybe you end up taking a position at a company that is not great. But here's the thing too. If a company has that kind of reputation, chances are they are probably trying to change that reputation and they are having trouble getting people in. So if you show some interest in the company, you can probably get in, as well as you can probably negotiate a higher salary. Okay, so it might be win-win. Now, when you hear that a company is bad, investigate why. Okay, is it, say, well, they treat their employees bad. Well, why? What do you mean bad? And how do they treat their employees? Okay, I worked for a company, I won't give the name, but they treated their employees spectacularly. I mean, they really treated us well. We had, quarterly, we did employee appreciation things. We went rock climbing and all kinds of good stuff. They didn't pay a lot, but they treated employees well. But then again, remember, everything's a perspective. I say they didn't pay a lot. Other people I know worked there like, oh man, I love the money I was making. So it's all relative. Okay. But don't believe just because somebody says, well, this company sucks or this company, whatever. There's a big company down here in Atlanta. I've heard they burn people out. I'm not going to say it's a big company, but I heard they just burn people out. Depends on probably, I would never turn down an offer at that company if I needed a job. Because a lot of things, it depends on, what department you're working in, what job you're doing. There are some jobs that burn people out. Okay? It's not just companies. Sometimes there's jobs that just frankly burn people out, period. They burn people out because they need you 67 hours a week in this position. Okay. That doesn't mean the company's bad. This means they need you in that position. Okay. So don't believe everything you hear. That's number two. But again, is it the environment? Is it the people? Is it the industry that's making this company bad? And look at other companies in that industry. When you hear things like that, you might think about it. These might be opportunities because this company's probably hurting and whatever, and maybe I can have a better chance of getting in there. One of the things I heard one time, this is a very true story. I got a new job with a company, and I heard from somebody else that the boss I was going to have was racist. I'm black, and I heard that this boss was a racist person. And I'll be honest, I didn't see it. I never saw it in this person. And 20 some years later, I still exchanged Christmas cards with this person. Had I believed what I was told, I would have never went to work for him. He is and was one of the best bosses, managers I ever had. Okay, but somebody told me, well, he's this. So you can't believe everything you hear. You cannot believe it. Okay, so that's something to think about. Just don't believe everything you hear. Okay, number third rule: don't burn your bridges. Okay, you saw in the election a lot of people said things, and when their candidate didn't win, they had to eat a lot of crow because people just knew they were going to win, and on the way out they burned bridges. They just boom. Ripped stuff up. I walked out of the office. It's like the proverbial lottery winner who hits lotto or thinks they hit lotto or Powerball, and they walk out tearing up computers, smacking their boss in the back of the head and things like that. And then they realize, ooh, I need that job. I didn't win lotto. It was a joke. Burning your bridges is one of the worst things you can do in life. I know you're mad. I know you're mad that they let you go. I know you're mad about that. Okay, that the last company you worked for let you go, or a company used you. I had a situation one time where I was interviewing with a company, and I'm not exaggerating about this. I interviewed about 6 times. They had me coming in once or twice a week, and I was out of work at the time, so I had all this open time. And they had me coming in about once to twice a week, interviewing with different people. And I did about 6 times I interviewed. And after about the 4th or 5th time, I started, I said, wait a minute, these guys are playing games. I'm trying to get a job. I've talked to every department, have great conversations, but nobody's putting an offer on the table. And after about 6 or 7 interviews, I finally just, I asked the question, what's the next step here? What are we doing? What are you guys trying to do? Are you trying to hire somebody? And it was at that point that things kind of came to a grinding halt. And okay, they'd wasted, I feel like they wasted my time for a couple of weeks there, a couple of months. Yeah, it was about a couple of months I was interviewing with these people. But I was gracious, In my own experience, I have worked for one company twice. A company that laid me off. I ended up back there 3-4 years later, as a contractor working with that company. Why was I able to come back? Because I didn't burn bridges. Because when I left, I stayed in touch with people. Very gracious, It's real easy to think that, what, screw these guys. I'm out of here. I'm gonna, slice everybody's tires on the way out. Why? Because I'm mad. And understand that that's why people do things. That's why people burn bridges, because at that moment they are mad. Think about times you've broken up a relationship. You've been in a relationship and you've broken up. And what do people do? On the way out, when the couple is breaking up, he or she will say something so mean, just to get that last little dig in before you hang the phone up. Okay, or that's how you hang it up now. But you'll make that last, you want to have that last word. You want to have that last little dig. It makes you feel good. Like, yeah, I won. I got the last word on them. What's that line about the feet you step on the way up the ladder are connected to the behinds you got to kiss on the way down? Okay. Don't burn your bridges. Understand that it's coming from a place of anger, of frustration. It's of just anger. Another true story for me. I work with somebody who used to be my boss at another company. We're peers, and this was my boss. I mean, we were someplace else, and now we moved on, and we ended up in the same place in the same department. And now we're peers, and we get along, and because when they were my boss, and they left, or, circumstance, I'm not going to go into it, but I didn't burn a bridge, because you never know who you're going to work with. And a lot of industries are very small. If you're trying to stay within a specific industry in your town, most likely everybody in that industry knows each other. And if you burn a bridge, it's not just you're burning this one bridge. Word will get around and everybody will know, oh, so-and-so burned this bridge. When they left, they did this. Well, I don't know if I want them in my company. Because, yeah, people talk, okay? But just remember that desire to burn that bridge in a relationship, in a job, or whatever, it comes from anger. It comes from lashing out because you have no other way of expressing your anger. So you lash out and you try to burn that bridge. You try to make sure that we'll never be together again. I mean, think about that in a relationship. How many people have left a relationship and they said, you know what? I'm not going to backslide this time. I'm going to make sure that person hates me so much that they'll never call me again. Because maybe you've broken up several times. You're like, I'm done. So you take the dog down to a shelter. Something crazy you do. Or you burn their mother's cookbook. Something. Be the bigger person. Be the bigger person. Being a bigger person in this situation is never, repeat, it is never a bad thing. Okay? Move on. Because one thing too, when you burn that bridge, you go, yeah, and you dwell on the situation still. You keep dwelling on, yeah, I got them. And then you start telling your friends, this is what I did when we broke up. And, when I left the company, I took all the pencils, and kind of like crazy stuff like that. Or I logged into the system and deleted the personnel files. Or I went into the system and pulled up all the salary information of everybody and sent it to the whole company. And then I walked out like a G, Be the bigger person. Be the bigger person. Go, move on. Let it go. Relationships, jobs, everything. Just let it go. Okay? Because it can never, ever help you. I don't know of a circumstance where somebody burned a bridge and that burning help them in any way in the future. It doesn't work that way. Okay? And even if it did, you don't know. So just let it go. Just don't burn that bridge. And that brings me to the fourth one. Don't cry over spilled milk. Okay? Right now, we're seeing a lot of protesters because of the presidential election. I'm not going to give my thoughts on it. I've already posted my thoughts on it over the last couple of weeks. But this goes hand in hand with don't burn bridges. You got to move on. You got to let it go. You can't dwell on the fact that they laid you off. It's like we have a really ugly breakup and somebody like burns a bridge on the way out, and you're so mad at that person that you don't get to appreciate what's in front of you. You can't really look for a job. And this is all about job seekers, people. Remember that. You can't really effectively look for a job if you're still pissed at the company you used to work for. You can't. I'm just telling you, you can't do it. It is technically impossible to effectively do a job search if you are still upset and angry at the last person or the last company that you go. What was it? Jesse Ventura said it in the movie Predator. I ain't got time to bleed. Here's the thing. When you're in job search, you got one objective. You have one thing to do, and that is to get another job. That's all you got to do is get another job. That's your job is to find a job. You want to spend your time being mad at the company that let you go. You want to spend your time wrapped up in that and that anger. You can't look for a job. You can't. It's like, again, it's like with dating. Your last boyfriend or girlfriend broke your heart, ripped it to shred, pulled it out, stomped on it, stuck it back in your chest with mud and everything on it. And you are hurt. And then somebody else comes along and says, hey, I'd like to get to know you. I don't want nothing to do with you. But then you say, I'm trying to move on. No, you're not. No, you're not moving on. You're not moving on at all. You're still hurting. And that's understandable. But at some point, you got to go, you know what? I got to find a job. I can be mad at this company because I gave them 27 years of my life. La, 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 la. Yep, you did all of that. And you won't give them 28. But you got to move on. If you don't move on, you can't move on. You can't succeed. The best revenge, I said it earlier, the best revenge, the absolute best revenge is success. Okay? The absolute best revenge, and just like in dating, what's the best revenge, excuse me, if your partner breaks up with you and tells you you're low and you're all these bad things. The best revenge is to be successful. They see you 2 or 3 or 4 years later. You got your life together. You're happily married with kids, and they look and go, how did I let this person go? He's got all this potential. The best revenge is success, and that's all it comes down to. It is success is the best revenge. So that's how you have to think about your job search. The best revenge is to move on and not let them see you begging under a bridge because you were so pissed at them for so long. You've seen people that are just pissed off or something, and they're so pissed off they can't. Every time you see them, their eyes are red because they're still just so mad. One of the things I told my son, and I tell you guys too, the worst thing you can do when somebody does something to make you mad is let them know they made you mad. You may be boiling inside, but here's the thing about that. Don't get mad about things you can't change. Don't get mad about things. If you cannot change it, don't waste your time being mad about it. Because, being mad is like, about something you can't change is like stabbing yourself and waiting for your enemy to bleed. Okay, I read that somewhere. It's pretty cool. You got to let it go. But holding on to that anger, holding on to that disappointment, you start to see yourself as they saw you. That's the thing. Because what you're really mad about in your head is maybe that they saw the real you, Somebody breaks up with you, and women especially, you know, y'all break up with a guy, y'all dig the knife in and little flangs come out and you pull it back out and make a bigger hole coming out than it went in. Oh, y'all good for that. But that's another story. But when we stay mad because somebody said something to us, when we stay mad, it's because in the back of our mind, someplace we're wondering, was this person telling the truth? Am I that bad? Okay. So the best revenge on somebody when they're telling you, when they're breaking up with you and they're doing it really ugly and mean, the best revenge is success. The best revenge is to move on. Okay? Just like in this election, and this is the only thing I'll say politically about it. Protesting, I understand. I understand why people are protesting. But there's a simple question. What are you going to do about it? You're upset with the election, with the campaign, whatever. What are you going to do about it? Protesting gets your word out, but it doesn't change anything. Okay? It's like in job search. Okay? What are you going to do about it? They laid you off after you gave your blood, sweat, and tears for all those years. You propped that company up. You made that company look good, and they let you go. Their loss. Look at it like that. It is their loss. Okay? That's how you have to look at it. So, anyway, that's it. So the point, let me recap. The point, the 4 things that job seekers can learn from the election. Number 1 is don't put limits on what you think you can achieve. Number 2 is don't believe everything you hear. Number 3 is don't burn your bridges. And number 4 is don't cry over spilled milk. Those are the things that you need to learn. As an effective job seeker, you need to keep it going. You need to keep moving. Okay, those are the things that you need to focus on. So with that, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the thumbs up and all that, and appreciation and the love. Again, next week's show. Next week is my annual special What I'm Thankful For show. So please be sure to tune into that, because that's one that comes from my heart, and I'm always thankful. But this is the one time of year where I get to just talk about how thankful I am. So everybody have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.